Cześć, witajcie na kanale Pick and Roll. Dzisiaj ze mną jest serii one-on-one AJ Walton. So, AJ, let's start this interview. What was the moment at Baylor that really shaped you into the player you are and were today and in the past here in Poland? Was it about your defense, playmaking, or your relationship with your coach?
Um, I would say it was a little bit of everything, you know. Mostly I mostly played defense in college, especially my last 2 years. Uh my first 2 years I was a point guard, like a true point guard, played with the ball, organized the offense. So I learned a lot from those 2 years, and then my last 2 years, junior and senior year, I became more of the defensive threat, and I was also point guard. Yeah, but I didn't have the ball so much, so I need to focus strictly on defense to be on the floor. So a little bit of all of that really catered to the player I am now. There's a lot of great experience, and I had great relationships with my teammates. They always pushed me to be who I am, who I was. Uh, so that was a big blessing, especially in college.
So, unfortunately, you weren't selected in the NBA draft. So, how did that moment impact you mentally? And do you think it pushed you to grow faster as a player?
Yeah, it definitely pushed me to grow faster and work even harder. That's every basketball player's dream is to play in the NBA. I think uh, it's every kid's dream to who loves to play basketball, wants to play in the NBA. So to not make it, that kind of, I wouldn't say crushed me, because I still play at high levels. Did a lot of great things in my career, but it definitely impacted me heavily and just took me into another gear. And I just tried everything I could to get there, get back there. So it wasn't the end, but it definitely made me try to go harder in my life and my career.
So, yes, so speaking of the NBA draft, how did it look like from your perspective? Do you have like any workouts with teams aligned?
Yeah, I worked out with the Rockets, Memphis, mm, and Dallas. That and I had some pretty good workouts, especially Houston and Memphis, but it just uh, I wasn't the guy they were looking for. But I got positive feedback. It wasn't like it was just terrible. They liked the type of player I was, and I just wasn't a fit for them at that time. So that's basketball. It's a small window to get to the NBA, and my window wasn't there. So
So, you've played in Poland, Slovakia, Czech Republic, Kosovo. How did each of those stops shape your game and your personality overall?
well, it really cultured me, like playing, in all these countries, meeting new people, um, trying to learn different languages. It really cultured me and showed me how blessed I really am, and how blessed we are to, be able to play this game and, travel the world. I have a lot of friends who could never, leave America and have never got to travel to Europe and see the things I've seen. So uh, it had a big impact on me, especially my first years in Poland. Oh man, it's still some of the best times of my life. It was an eye opener. Just to see that I could come across the world and still do what I love to do every day, and also make good money from it, and you know build new relationships and new friendships. Uh, it was a big blessing. I could have you know been hurt or early, or given up after certain incidents in my life and my career, and I didn't. So each step and each place that I played, it really helped me grow as a young man, and as a basketball player, as an athlete in general. So
So,
I'm
with
really
all that time spent in Poland, did you learn any words?
oczywiście rozumiem po polsku.
Dużo rozumiesz?
No, no, no. I At one point in time, I was really fluent in Polish. Like I still, to this day, one of my best friends is a Polish guy named David uh, Kimilewski. We call him Camilo. He's not from Gdynia, but we met in Gdynia, and then my teammates in Gdynia, they really, you know, were my teachers, man. Every day we just giving me a composition notebook full of words and sentences, just things to learn every single day, especially my first 2 years in Gdynia. So it was really crazy. And my guy, our shooter who was over there, Chris, you might not even know, uh, but yeah, he was Canadian and Polish. Chris Paradis, he played in Gdynia with us. And that was like, no,
Mhm.
yeah, that was my real tutor. Like, when I say he used to question me every day, speak Polish to me, ask me what I know, really give me pages and pages of conjugations and things like, that was some great memories. And I'm still close with those guys. Sebastian Kowalczyk, Philip Machak, you know, the Emilius Gadalikas, the Lithuanian. We that was a great time. So I I'm more on the Czech side now, since I've been living in Czech and my family is Czech, my wife and kids are Czech, but I still know some Polish.
So, as you've gotten more experienced, how would you say your game has changed? Do you rely more on your IQ now than you do on your athleticism?
Yes, a lot more IQ. Yeah, when I was younger, I was pretty athletic. I would go and dunk something and man, speeding up the floor. But the last few years, I slowed down, not a lot, because just 2 years ago I was the MVP of this league, and the year after that I was so yeah. 2 years ago I was MVP. The last year I was defensive player of the year. Uh, so not just slowed down so much, but definitely now using more IQ and shooting a lot more threes than I did in Poland.
Yeah, so like speaking of your 3-point shooting, with all due respect to you, it has been some like inconsistencies in your shooting. How do you how does that affect you as a player? How do you get out of a shooting slump? Just keep shooting.
Every time you shoot, you have to shoot it with confidence, and that's what I knew all my life, just shoot it with confidence and get repetitions in. So I just started working on it. day after day after day, and just building my confidence, you know. And or some situations and some teams I was playing for, I wasn't the happiest because of certain situations that were going on within the club, but I was still working on my game and, you know, trying to get better for the next year and the future, you know. So shooting is just about repetition and confidence. And I just had to get more reps up and build my confidence more, you know. So that was it.
So let's start reminiscing about the good old times, I should say, about Poland, the times when I was little. I didn't have a worry in the world, and I would just go to watch Uncle AJ's games. So you spent multiple seasons with Poland. What made it special for you compared to other places you played in?
Well, that was the first place, you know, I went to, you know, it was Poland. And being a young, I was 23 years old, 22, 23, my first years, and just being a young college guy, you know, coming to Poland, a country, you know, nobody in America really knows about. And, you know, just the expectation for myself was high. And I didn't know really what to expect about the country, about the people, or about basketball here. And when I got here, it was, you know, complete opposite of what I could have thought, you know, just the people, you know, how much they, you know, how much love they showed and gave to me, you know, the energy I received. It was, man, it made me fall in love, you know, with the culture over here. Like I said, I met a lot of great guys here, and it, you know, everybody I met, you, mom, you know, other people off the court, it really made me feel like home away from home. You know, that's why I say Poland will always be my first home here in Europe. You know, I really felt home there, and that's what made me come back so many times. And just, you know, the food really good, you know, and then who can not love Gdynia? You're on the beach, you know, the young city, you know, Tri-City. So it was, so for that to be my first place to go, that was a big blessing, you know, because I know a lot of guys who started out in, you know, other places, and they didn't get the same experience in their career, you know, either ended early or, you know, didn't go the way that they wanted it to. And I think, you know, my career really took off, you know, because I went to Poland, you know, and I had success in my career because I started there, you know, in the top league in Europe, and a tough league, you know, playing against really elite players, you know, from all over, from Russia, from US, Poland, you know, Lithuanians. So Poland had a lot of imports who came and played, so it was just great basketball.
So would you say definitely Poland was the place you established yourself as a professional player, since you had all these individual seasons that were the best of your career, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah. Poland really helped mold me into the player I am now, and to have the career that I have had, you know. Look, basketball is up and down, you know, it's a game of runs, game of wins and losses. So, you know, not every year is going to go exactly how you plan and be the best, you know. Some are gonna be good, one will be good, two will be good, three will be good, but then, you know, one, you know, average one will come. And, you know, that's how basketball is. And you just have to keep pushing through, especially if you love it and this is what you really want to do. You know, just gotta keep pushing every night. And that's what I've done. And that's what I'll continue to do. So yeah.
Yeah, so about the pushing part and the game of runs part, How would you say the Polish league in your time was on a scale of 1 to 10, tough in terms of just competing on a nightly basis?
I would say I had to give it a 10 because every night was a battle. If you home or away, especially in Gdynia, we were a young team. Everybody had us at the bottom of the PLK. So, and we always managed to, make playoffs. I never missed a playoff over there, and so just being a young guy coming to play and having odds against us. We pretty much like the underdogs. You had to come and show up every single game, at home, away. You playing against, Anvil, Charlie Swoops was really good then. Turov, Jigelets was really good. They won the Polish league my first year, Zielona Góra was always 1-2 in the league. Um, who else we had? Sapat, they were always a battle. Every night it was a battle. So Slunks, Wrocław, they were a battle. Every game was a battle, really, man. I was young too, so even when I came my last year and I played in Biglish, they had just came back in the extra class. And Warsaw had jumped in. That was my first time playing against them. Lublin had came. Tortolun had came. Uh, so it was a battle every year I played over there. It was never like easy games. You always had to fight, claw, scrap, battle every game. So that was a good place for me.
So, yeah, so how did playing in Poland help you develop your game as a textbook's point guard, to say the least?
Well, I had to really create for everybody, had to get them their shots, make it easier for them, really try to elevate everybody around me, make them better. I feel like I was the best player on our team in Gdynia, so if I'm going out there scoring 20 or more, then the other guys are not getting their shots, Piotr Shatka, uh what's this, Dmitry Fedor, the Russian who played with me my first year. Um, Dang, why can't I think of the shooter's name? He's the coach now, Lefty, France. He was the coach in Gdynia last few years.
Wait, I don't know who you're referring to now.
Uh, Left-handed shooter.
Wait, I'm trying to think. Slav? Rasunkiewicz.
Rasul. That's lefty shooter.
Yeah, you make ratings to Coach Rasunkiewicz if he's one. Yeah, big love, man.
He helped me. He was hurt my first year. Uh, when I was in Gdynia, but he really, talked to me every day. He helped me, with a lot. I owe him a lot. So, big respect to him, big love for me. And we had a great relationship over there. So, uh, that really helped me be a point guard because I really had the ball in my hands all the time, and I couldn't make it just about me, because typical Americans. We coming over here to score the ball, put the ball in the hoop, and get out. But, that really helped me learn how to play real European basketball, be a real point guard, organize, like see 2, 3 plays ahead, learn really KYP, which is know your personnel. Like my coaches really used to say that in college, but when I came here and became a pro, that really clicked even more, uh, because I really had to understand and learn what all my teammates like to do, where they're gonna be before they're there, build that chemistry with them. So it put a lot of pressure on me because it was me as a point guard, and it was uh, Sebastian Kowalczyk, who was my backup. And I was like 22, 23, and he was 18, 19, young boy. So he was like learning from me. I was just learning how to be a pro. So, you know, I feel like we learned together. I taught him a lot. He taught me a lot. And, Philip Machak, who was also 18, 19 as our guard, as our two-man. And, it was a great learning experience, man.
So, do you still follow the Polish league?
A little bit, a little bit. I haven't been tapped in so much just because I've been doing my own thing over here. I'm a full-time dad, husband, coach, player. So now I try to keep in touch with the league, what's going on. But it's been a while since I actually watched some games and saw what's going on.
Yeah, so what about the people from Poland? Do you still keep in touch with anybody? Because we spoke off camera, you said you'll keep in touch with the Astoria GM, so yeah.
My friend, you mean like players or just people in general?
Yeah, like anybody here from Poland.
Yeah, I still, like I said, one of my best friends is a Polish guy. His name is David. We still talk, text, like that hasn't changed since 2013. Like we still he was living in Germany for a while. I went and visited him over there, stayed with him in the off season for like 3 months, just kicking it. Chris Paradis. We were just texting like last week about me coming to visit him and his family and our kids meeting. So Philip, my child, we still talk. Sebastian, Kowalczyk, still following each other on Instagram, and I'm still checking those guys out. And like I said, I'm still friends with uh friends on Facebook. We were texting a couple years ago. I was trying to get back to come play in Gdynia again while he was the coach. So yeah, I try to, if it's real, you can tell, and I try to keep those real connections I grew, just for the future. Like I say, I'm a coach now, here in Czech at a basketball academy, and I want to maybe bring some Polish guys here, and or help them get to the States or anything, maybe be a coach over there one day. So I want to keep my connections close.
So, if you had a chance, would you come back to play in Poland again?
Oh yeah, of course. In a heartbeat. No, if it's the right, if it's I'm not gonna say in a heartbeat because it's not just me, but if it was the right situation, right reasons, then for sure, no questions. But it'll have to be, yeah, the right situation, right scenario, right for my family, not just for me.
Yeah, I understand. So, last one. If you had to describe basketball, Polish basketball, in one word, what would it be and why?
Mm, was physical. I would say that.
I know it.
Physical. Cause it's physical. They letting you play over there. when I was there, they let you, then especially the guards, they let us play, hands, everything, a little hand checking, a little grabbing, which is okay for me. I like that. I like the physicality. So, and if you going in the paint, you going against footers, real 7-footers, 6'11", 6'10", and, other Americans who are athletic and can jump. So yeah, it's physical. And very, and if not physical, competitive. I would say very competitive because you can't take any days off, any game, any minute, any second in the game. You can't take it off. It's very competitive. Everybody that steps on the court, I felt like they were hungry. They were trying to come at my neck. So it's only right if I go back at theirs. I think they already knew I was coming like that anyway. Especially if they did scout. They These guys don't play hard offensively and defensively. So I would say it's very competitive. If not competitive, it's very physical.
So, what do you have to say to the Polish AJ Walton fans out there?
Hey, I love y'all, man. The biggest love, like for real. Thank you for everything. Hit me up. Don't hesitate. Message me, Facebook, Instagram, wherever, man. Y'all always in my hearts, and I'm truly grateful for anybody who support AJ Walton.
All right, thank you. It was nice speaking to you.
Yes, sir.